Morning, and I think I found my lighting. Anyway, so this morning I was talking with my friend, and we had an amazing conversation. And I kept going, "Oh, that's gonna be my rant. Oh, that's gonna be my rant." But then I got a song stuck in my head. Um, Back when I was a kid, I think this was like had to be 79, 80, maybe even 81. I don't think it was that late. Anyways, I lived in Southern California. That's where I grew up, and I used to really be heavy into punk and alternative type stuff. And so one of my favorite bands at that time was a little band called Suicidal Tendencies, and God, I just loved them. But anyway, so there's a lyric, a part of a lyric from a song, and I always quoting it. I mean, even to this day, I mean, almost 35 years later, uh, and I love it. And it says, it just like stops in the middle, and he starts talking. He's like, "Oh, did I offend you? Well, maybe you needed to be offended. And one more thing before I apologize, fuck you." And I always just thought that was so great, so succinct, just. And this morning it was reminding me that, you know what? It's not my business what anybody thinks of me. And it's nobody's business really what I think of them. Because of the fact, not in the way that you would think, but because how it all ties together where nobody is responsible for anybody else's emotion. I mean, I think as beings, we are responsible. We should be responsible to behave in a way that's kind and loving and positive towards others, and to empower other people rather than to bring them down. That's just good for the whole. That's just good for everybody. So, rather than be negative and bring in drama and stuff. But, we also need our mirrors. And how do I so nobody can manipulate your emotions. It's you that do that. So if I see somebody behaving in a certain way, or I hear somebody make a comment or something, and it strikes me in a way that brings up an emotion, that's all about me. That's not about them at all. And people tend to think that because um, a person does something and it makes us angry, or we don't agree, that is them, and we need to focus on them and what they're doing, when in fact, uh, the first person you should look at is yourself. Why did that make me angry? Well, maybe it goes against a personal belief. um Maybe, and why does it? Why is it that I choose to believe the way I do, and live the way I do? uh and because I feel that I have some moral compass, or um I get uh a justification in the spirit about my behavior, I'm in tune with that, and I know when I'm acting according to the way that God wants me to act, or if I'm acting in a way that is counterproductive to all of that. And I can feel it instantaneously. But not all people are in tune with their spirit like that. They can't feel the wind blowing. They does, Jesus said we have to meet people where they are, and part of that is understanding how our perceptions are just that. Our view of reality is just that. And you may find people that you can come close to and share things with, but I think almost everybody's going to have a unique version of what they see and what they think. Um, if I mean, and I totally, since love to understand my own shortcomings, because by sometimes being around someone who I would call a mirror, that doesn't mean that they act like me. Actually, it usually means that we're pretty distinct and polar opposites in some way, in some value or moral or standard of some sort. Uh, that it gives me an opportunity to figure out who I am. It's not an opportunity for me to judge and say, oh, well, I know more than you. I've been doing this for a while. I got some, God poked me in the head, and I got some cool gift. And so I have the ability to uh, speak to you and for you. But I've never been like that. And I love conversation. I love hearing new ideas, because no matter what you say, all it's going to do, if it makes me think, that's the hard part. Most people don't say anything that makes anybody think anymore. But if it makes you think, then it doesn't matter what it was said. It served its purpose. We should all be turning on that light for each other. We should all be uh, fanning the flames of each other's imaginations, so that we can nurture and respect each other. Um, Not really sure why this became the rant today, but it did, and I've found that my whatever I'm speaking about is something that really ends up not coming to fruition, maybe in a reality, but in a co-joined kind of way, or maybe for somebody else or something. And I'm really enjoying that aspect of this, and I think I'm kind of enjoying this rant thing too. And nobody's watching, and it doesn't matter, but whatever. Maybe someday somebody, you know, can be like, oh, yes. Anyways, it looks like it's going to be a beautiful day outside, totally warm. I have totally refurbished the bug out bag and took an inventory, got some supplies. So I'm totally back on track with my pack and everything. I don't think I'm going to take the wagon this time. I really want goats, but I'm having issues with the wildlife versus the goats, the wolves, and things like that. Really bad here in Montana. And so I'm trying to figure out that morally before I drag another life into it. Other than that, just try to stay cool and love everybody, man. That means yourself, too. Peace.